Greetings, I'm Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. March is Women's History Month, a time to reflect on the often overlooked contributions women have made to America's history. This year's theme is providing healing, promoting hope. We have some extraordinary women who are members of the Orange County Veterans Advisory Council. They have served our community in all corners of the world. Their sacrifices represent women service members who make up roughly 16% of our active duty armed forces. In a few moments, you will hear from these patriots who made it their duty to serve their country. They chose to stand for freedom and justice and support a cause greater than themselves. Stay tuned as our host, Jane Wattrell, asks them about their stories. It is my pleasure to honor these women, along with all women who helped contribute to American history.
Well, welcome to Women's History Month. I'm Jane Wattrell. I'm right outside the Orange County Regional History Center, talking to women who are all a part of history, modern and past. I'm going to welcome Technical Sergeant Kalixta Nichols, who was with the U.S. Air Force, but now is with the U.S. Space Force, and you're active duty in your uniform. Thank you for joining us. Almost 14 years of active duty. Can you believe it?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it and appreciate being here today.
No, it's great. You started in Louisiana, you went to Aviano, Italy, Gutter, back to Aviano, Patrick Air Force Base. What's the best part of your travels being in the service?
The best part of my travels being in the service is the immersion process of going different places, learning about different cultures, and of course the Air Force and Space Force has been able to afford that to me. But not also is it great to me, it has been wonderful for my son as well. Being in the service, I've been to those places that you have stated, but I've been able to go to 26 countries, and my son, who is 11, has been to 16.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's really exposed both of you to a whole different way of life.
Absolutely.
Wow. So you're recruiting, and what's the Space Force is exciting. It's new. So how is this making history? It is Women's History Month, and you're with Space Force and a female.
Yes, thank you. It is a brand new branch, our newest branch. That focuses on the more like STEM career fields, space operations, of course, intelligence and communications, computers, and cyber. It's making history by being the fact that it was established, which is awesome, but I see that they are making way for new technologies in the world, making sure that we are safe as far as our way of life, and then creating opportunities for history in the making for our new guardians that are able to come in.
So you are a recruiter. Could you talk about who you're looking for? Who could be a great addition to the Space Force?
Well, it is, of course, based on different requirements, but we are looking for very innovative people, ones that are not afraid of change and process because it is so new, of course. There are going to be a lot of changes, but they are looking for the best and the brightest of people in order to come in and have those bright minds to advance the force, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's so different than the other branches.
Yes.
where there's the tradition. Nothing wrong with like an Army tradition of like and 150 to 200 years of tradition, but it's almost like you're rewriting history with this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what is being in something, 14 years almost in the Air Force and Space Force, what is being in something greater than yourself taught you as a female?
Ooh, what has it taught me? There's a purpose, of course. I have a purpose of being able to bring in the newest generation of people who will help us and take care of us, our way of life, and the world, essentially. What have it taught me is that I am able to help women and be a representative for them. Absolutely. To see me where I am, and some people say that, oh, you're doing really well. I think that I'm doing well, yes, but I think me being able to give back to them is most important to me. And me being a recruiter, I'm able to do that by helping change their lives and things like that.
Yeah, because it changed your life. Talk about that. What made you decide to join the Air Force in the first place?
I had influence, of course. My father was in the military when I was very young. I was born overseas while he was over there serving. So that was amazing. He had a huge influence in my life in order for me to join. It was very much, but when I graduated high school, I was not thinking about the military, which was, crazy, even though I dealt with that. But he, like a father does, he told me that I would need to go to college or he's going to have a recruiter knock at my door. So I decided to go into the military, of course.
That's great.
I did originally sign up for 4 years, but being as though that it has helped me, my life, has advanced me to where I am today. It has helped my son live a better life and ultimately my family. It has really, really helped me, and so that is why I have decided to stay longer. It's been really beneficial.
That's wonderful. Some of the women we talked to today, they came in the 70s and the 80s when there weren't many women and there weren't many role models. As a female in the military now, and we're in the 21st century and 2022, do you feel you're treated differently than male counterparts, or do you feel like things have maybe evened out a little bit since, the 70s and even before that?
Being a woman in the military, I think it's important for us to have the representation of seeing other women in the military. Do I think that I'm treated differently? I think that we all have the opportunities to advance, and so I do my best to place myself in those opportunities to be able to advance, just like anybody else. Yes,
so as far as role models then, have you seen some female role models you want to emulate in the military or just in your life, since this is Women's History Month? Are there role models like, say, Rosa Parks or somebody from the past that's kind of influenced you?
Well, being as though that I'm a young person, of course, and being a woman in the military, I quite honestly have a lot of role models. Whenever I look at our VP and seeing her, seeing different women in the military as a whole is a huge help and inspiration to be where they are, especially when you see them in higher ranks. You really you say, okay, that is where I want to be one day. So they are all very much an inspiration to me.
One of the women told me that her role models were very similar to you. In fact, she was in the Air Force. She said every time she met someone, she took something from it. Do you see that with leadership? Could you talk a little bit about the leadership that's helped influence you in the military?
Yes, I definitely agree with what she said. I always take bits and pieces from different people that I encounter into my life. One of the things that I took away from one of my role models, she was a senior, a senior master sergeant that I worked under when I was the executive assistant to our commander. She was the executive officer, so I worked under her. She taught me that hard work, you're going to always have to work hard to get where you are, but shine. You want to place yourself in those places where you are going to be recognized, but also do your best at all times. They say excellence in all we do, and that's really what she did. She put her foot forward in everything that she did, and I really did appreciate that, and I saw how working under her really helped me advance as well and to do the best that I could.
And you saw how she advanced, so I mean, you got a little secret sauce there.
Absolutely.
You know, on how to do it. So you traveled around and went to all these different countries, but do you have like a pinch me moment when you were in the, when you were in the service where you thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool? So
yes, I would like to say that, of course, some of my travels were mission-based and others were leisure-based, but ultimately I believe the Air Force was and the Space Force allowed me to do even my leisurely travels. And my pinch me moment, I would say, was when I was standing in the middle of the Sahara Desert. We did a camping overnight there, and once I topped one of the mounds, it was just absolutely amazing. And I said, wow, I can't believe that I'm here. It was definitely a pinch me moment for me.
So talking to young women, what would you tell them about military service? Would you encourage them to go that route? I mean, obviously there are certain traits they have to have, but just based on your experiences, to not shy away from it?
Yes, I would. It's definitely helped me. I think that everybody can, I think that women as a whole can kind of shy away from it, of course, not necessarily knowing a whole bunch about it. But I think that it can help you advance. It can help all of us advance, of course. It has some great things about it that you can, whether it's education, is that something that you're looking for, travel, if that's something that you're looking for, leadership, if that's something that you're looking for, you're able to do so in all of that, just like you can in the, of course, civilian sector of the world. It's just another path for you to do so. So I think that it can definitely help us as a whole.
Some of the women we've talked to today that have been in military service said they really learned a lot about themselves. Was that the case for you?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I am a woman in the maintenance field, the maintenance background. When I first came into maintenance, I would not say that I'm maintenance savvy, but I definitely get out there with the big boys, and I was able to develop the skills and the knowledge of working on those types of equipment, whether it's diesel engines, turbine engines, different things like that. So, but it also helped me develop that leadership and stepping up and saying, I can do this just like the best of them. And so it really taught me about myself, where I can truly say, okay, Lita, you're a beast as well.
Yeah, you're empowered.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Course.
Women have achieved throughout history, and you are part of history. Could you talk about what's ahead for Space Force? Is it still kind of being rewritten?
Yes, I would say it's definitely being rewritten. The reason why I say that is because it is so new. The branch itself, space operations has been in operations and established for a very long time. This has been talked about for 20 years, but just as of recently been implemented. As far as the way forward, nobody has done this before in our lifetime, so they have a lot of kinks and things to work through, but the way forward is just for us to advance as much as possible.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a fascinating look into women, and you are a part of history, don't you? Do you feel that way sometimes?
Yes. I feel like I'm building a legacy of my own, being the Space Force recruiter, the first and only one, so I believe that it's amazing. My son told me all the time that he's like, oh, wow, Mom, I can't believe this is happening for you. So I am very happy. Definitely feel like I'm a part of history as well, and I'm able to bring in those men and women who are wanting to join the Space Force and build a legacy of their own, but see that they are making history and pioneering.
Well, thank you, Sergeant Nichols, and appreciate you being part of Women's History Month.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.